Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth-given name. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday morning, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I got a word for you. Tap in. So guys, really quickly, I think we shall see. I want to talk to you all about compromising your promise because of the delays in the wait. I've been catching up over some emails this morning as well as last night. And again, a lot of people are very, very frustrated because they feel like they've been waiting too long, or the warfare that they're experiencing is just becoming too heavy for them. Satan are attacking, their children, their family. And I always say Satan will attack the very areas that mean the most to you as a distraction. So after reading over some of your emails, I wanted to make this recording. Now, what we have to be very careful about is our words. What are we speaking? Are we speaking life? Or are you giving place to the enemy by speaking negativity and literally just compromising your promise with him? Because maybe you are tired. Maybe you are weak. So you do feel like giving up. You do feel like just accepting the generic because you're tired or because you think it will never, ever happen, even though God has been very clear. Now, again, I'm speaking about when God has been clear. God. Because sometimes as fleshly beings, we want what we want. So make sure that you're in alignment with God's will for your life, right? Because when for my experience, the scripture in regards to God will give us the desires of our hearts. For my experience, God changed my desires. So the things that I would desire, years ago, I have no desire for those things now. I have no desire for those things now. So once you get into alignment, he will change the desires of your heart. And then he will then grant you the desires of your heart because it's in alignment. So I'll give some examples. Those of you who maybe you felt like God told you to start a ministry or a business, and it's 4 years in, and you're not seeing any profit. In fact, it's draining you, and you're frustrated. And so you're saying things like, "Oh, this was never God." Like you could be verbally saying, "This was never God. I made a mistake. This business is a failure. It's never going to work." Like you're speaking that stuff in the atmosphere. And sometimes it's, you don't even realize you're doing it. You might just be speaking because you're frustrated, but you are giving power to the enemy versus speaking authority over that thing. Well, God said for me to start this business or this ministry. Yes, coronavirus is here and a lot of business are suffering, but I'm going to trust and believe and stand on what God said to me. I'm not moving. I won't be shooken. I'm going to stand firm on what he spoke to me. And in due time, I will see the fruit, but I'm not moving, point blank, period. You have to stand firm on the word. You got to stand firm on the promise, whatever he promised to you, regardless if you're seeing the fruit in the flesh. Things are moving in the spiritual realm. You will never know what can happen. Let's just say you got a business in candles. Let's just say that, right? Your business is in making candles. And you just feel like there's no way in the world. I mean, nobody's buying candles right now because nobody have a job. And, we don't know how long coronavirus and all these viruses are going to last. So people are not going to be buying candles. People don't even have a job right now, right? That's seeing things in the physical realm. Where in the spiritual realm, anything can happen. Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, major candle companies can take a hit and go out of business and never return. And you're the only one with candles. Right? Things move differently in the spiritual realm versus what we can see. Did God promise you a spouse or a purpose partner? And it's now been I don't know, 2 years. And all you see it as, well, I'm about to turn 30. And God said that, I was going to meet somebody and we were going to do this kingdom thing together. And he spoke this thing to me, 2 years ago. And I see nothing in sight. This person is still wilding out, still running the street, still dating, still this, all the other stuff. Okay, you're looking at things in the physical realm, in the fleshly realm. If God, all caps, if God has spoken to you and told you he has a purpose partner, kingdom spouse, even if he specified who it is, you have to stand firm on that. But what happens again during delays is we get frustrated. We hear things. Satan will directly send people to tell you certain things like, hey, I saw such and such in Walmart with a girl or with a guy. And the first thing you're thinking is, there is just no way. There's just no way. If he was supposed to be for me, if she was supposed to be for me, they should be single, not in Walmart frolicking around. And now before you know it, you're now speaking against your promise. It can never be. I didn't hear God. It was familiar spirits. I got it wrong. Or maybe God said it was this person and not that person. But yet you know what God spoke to you. But now you're compromising because you're tired and you're frustrated because of the wait. So what do? You settle for the generic. So now you go to pump some gas and you meet someone, and even if they're looking good, right? But you know what God told you. God told you to stay planted. He told you to stay open. He told you to have a clear pathway. So when the promise is released, there is no what is the stuff when you're doing like you're manicuring your yard and like you have like all the I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I have this vision in my head. Like basically the pathway needs to be clear. So because the promise will be released so rapidly, again, you don't have time to get things in order. So you don't have time to sit down with a whole other person and explain to them, hey, I know we've been dating for a year and but God decided to release my promise yesterday. So I just got to walk away. You don't have time for that. So go ahead and leave your pathway clear. Stop settling for generics. If God said it's yours, and if you want it bad enough, you got to stay planted on that thing, even when temptations come. And temptation will come. And some of those temptations will be looking so good, and you have to be like, maybe I got it. Maybe it was this person, and maybe I misheard. That is not what God said to you. That is not who God said to you. That's what your flesh is saying to you. That is what Satan is presenting to you because he wants you to accept that. And before you know it, you done built all kind of soul ties, all kind of foolishness with a whole person over here. And now God is going to have to hold up on your promise because he got to settle all the stuff that you got going up over here. He got to send you back to transformation because now you got a soul tie. So you are the one delaying your blessings. Because you don't want to be planted, because you feel like a fool, because it's like, I heard she's doing this and I just got to sit home and work on myself and they're out here, that's not fair. Favor ain't fair, boo. Favor ain't fair. Either you're going to believe what God says to you and you're going to stand firm on that. And let's be real here. We're human, we're flesh. So there will be times where you do get discouraged and you may waver. The key is because you will be, if it's from God, you will be convicted when you're off course. You will be convicted when you're starting to doubt. God will send someone to you, like I may be your confirmation now, right? He will send somebody to you to confirm to you, hey, that's not what I spoke to you. Now, if you want to touch it, if you want to play with it, do what you do, boo, right? Do what you do. But don't expect me to be a part of that. Don't expect me to release a promise because you can't stand firm and wait because you don't have patience or because you don't really believe what I said or because you feel like you're being a fool because you want to compare what they're doing to what you're doing. I told you to work on you. I told you to clean up this mess. I told you to wait. maybe the other person is already together. They may just be with a generic right now, but maybe they're already together, meaning their spiritual walk. They may already be tapped in heavy in their purpose and their calling. So you are the one that need to be processed. So anything can happen. If this generic relationship ends tomorrow, well, this person is already, again, aligned within their purpose and calling, but you're not. So rather than be pouting and going back and forth about why I got to stay home, why I got to work. I'm laughing because one of your emails literally like give me a picture like that. Like, why I got to be the one who, turn every date down. And I just got to sit home and look at walls. Why I got to be the one to just prayer and fasting, and the other person is just, favor ain't fair, honey. Favor ain't fair, right? So, what did I address? I addressed job, relationship. Let's say relocate. I got a lot of emails about relocation. And a lot of you guys are being called to relocate from reading your emails. All right. So God has said to you, he wants you to relocate. But again, now when he spoke to you, it was clear as day. You were all amped up and geeked up. You had unpacked your bags. You already start looking for jobs in that state or that town. Like you're geeked up. But you didn't move when he said move. One thing personally, what I've learned about God, it's very important to move when he says move, right? Don't drag your feet. It's almost like you have a certain type of grace that will give you the courage and the fearlessness to do whatever he's asking you to do. But if you kind of drag your feet and just sit it out I'll just wait, and you procrastinate on that thing, it's almost like you'll never do it, because it's almost like that grace, not that the grace is no longer there, but it's just that it's not as, I can't explain what I feel, but it will be more difficult for you to finally make that move. And now you're like, well, wait a minute. God told me he had some promises for me. He said he would give me a great job. He told me he would give me a great relationship. He told me he would give me great spiritual friends. But it's been 3 years and I don't see that promise. Well, you haven't relocated. You haven't relocated. You're still wherever you are, and you're thinking that the friends, the new spiritual friends who are on your level that he promised you, or that mate that he promised you, or that great job that he promised you, you think he's going to bring it to your old place when he told you clearly to relocate. So until you get it together and relocate, then figure it out. Figure it out on your own. Figure it out. So those are just a couple of examples. But, get in where you fit in. You can plug in whatever your thing is. At the end of the day, if God has made you a promise, I think in ignorance, right? Ignorance, just not knowing. In ignorance, that sometimes we assume, again, when we hear the word, when we hear the download, when we hear the promise, boom, it's the next day. Some promises will be immediate. Some can take many, many, many years. So again, I ask, how bad do you want it? It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.